What's going on, guys? Today is February 19th, 2000 and double twos. So, now that the NFL season is over, it's time for the off season. And the off season, in my opinion, is sometimes more interesting than not this year. The regular season this year was really good, really interesting with all the shit that happened. Just for a recap, obviously, the longest season. No, I shouldn't do air quotes because it really is the longest season, but like the longest season, and then this extra wild card team. So it was just crazy, and I don't have all the stuff to sit here and recap the season, but it was crazy, especially Antonio Brown, what he did on the sideline with the Bucks game, Bucks and the Jets, I believe in New York, with what was his name? This Uber driver dude. Fuck. I don't know. Forgot, but you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, now it's the off season, so we got a draft for free agency next month. I'll talk about that as it gets closer. Talk about it a little bit today. Talk about it more as it gets closer. Then the draft, training camp, all that. But yeah, we'll have more conversations on here about other sports like the NBA. That's really college basketball. We talk about college football. I don't watch soccer. I keep up with baseball loosely, so I don't really know much about that. We can talk about it. But today's episode, I just want to cover a few things that's happened in the NFL. That I want to cover. So yeah, and then at the end of the video, I want to get into a little bit of NBA talk, So let's just jump right into it. Actually, so I'm on this. I've seen Stephon Diggs, wide receiver, the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if you guys heard the story yet, but I don't know if it's really talked about. But Stephon Diggs on Valentine's Day, he had those girls in the same hotel, but in different rooms at the same time on Valentine's Day. I don't know his relationship with any of the two girls. I didn't bother to read more. I just read the headline and wonder who he spoiled more, like which girl. Because I'll be kind of fucked up to see. Like, wonder if they knew, like if they seen each other in the hallway, and like that would have been awkward. But yeah, we can. I don't know. So is Matthew Stanford a Hall of Famer? So I'll give you my answer in a little bit, but just a little precursor. After the Super Bowl, obviously Matthew Stafford won Super Bowl, so now he has a ring, and everybody's quick to put him in the Hall of Fame already. Say this guy's a Hall of Famer, first ballot. Saying he was in Detroit for 12 years. He was doing this and that, but nobody recognized because he was in Detroit. And I'm not saying that those arguments are invalid. I'm just saying that I don't think Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Famer right now. If he plays a little bit longer, maybe he'll be a Hall of Famer. It's looking like it right now. His career stats as they stand right now: 49,995 yards, 323 touchdowns, 161 interceptions for his career, including this year and this postseason. Obviously, this year is one more game in the regular season, and then an extra team in the postseason with the 7th wild card. But he went 0-3 in the playoffs in Detroit before going on a Super Bowl run in his 12th year. So that's making him 4-3 in the playoffs, which is a winning record. I'll say that's a winning record. I'll give it to him. Peyton Manning struggled early on in his career in the playoffs, so I mean that's not an indicator of anything really. And then Peyton Manning ended up winning 2 Super Bowls, but that was later on in his career. And the second one he was carried by the defense in Denver. So, I mean, yeah. The first one, I mean, I wasn't really watching football then, but I remember kind of. Yeah, so he wasn't too later in his career, but anyways, Matthew Stafford's only thrown for 4,500 yards 4 times in his career, and he's played a full season 10 out of the 12 years that he's played in the NFL. So, I mean, 4,500 yards, like that's a good season for a quarterback. Any quarterback does a good season for any quarterback. But if you're Matthew Stafford and everybody's like hyping up as the guy, now the throw he did make in the Super Bowl, the no look throw, on a dime to Cooper Kupp, that was a good throw, and I do believe that if that was Patrick Mahomes, for example, making that throw, everybody would go crazy online, which they did for Matthew Stafford too. But I'm just saying, like, if it was Patrick Mahomes, everybody would go way crazier. And I'm not saying that jealous or anything. I'm just saying, like, everybody knows, like, every football fan knows that. But Matthew Stafford's only thrown for 4,500. I need some water. 4,500 yards, 4 times, and he's played a full season 10 out of his 12 years in Detroit. He's only been to 1 Pro Bowl. So out of his 12 years in Detroit, he only went to 1 Pro Bowl. So, and he's never really, while he was in Detroit, we'll get to him in a minute. While he was in Detroit, he's never been like a top 5 quarterback in the league. And then there was a lot of good quarterbacks in the NFL. We had Peyton Manning. AFC, really, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers in the AFC. Tom Brady, of course. So you have 4 quarterbacks right there. That's 3 of them are in the top 5 every year for the last decade, I would say. Not the last decade, because Big Ben really fell off at the end. So did Peyton, kind of, because I just said he got carried to the Super Bowl. But those quarterbacks are always in the top 5 every year. So realistically, you had like one or two slots that you had from Matthew Stafford, but then even in his own division, you had Aaron Rodgers, and then later on you had Russell Wilson, and so he was never really a top 5 quarterback in any year. He put up top 5 numbers. He was a good player, but it never really translated to wins. And he had I know the Lions organization as a whole is bad, but he had Calvin Johnson as his number 1 receiver for many years, and it's just hard for me to think that, because every time I think of Matthew Stafford, I think of injuries. Matthew Stafford is always injured to me. Like, every time I hear about Matthew Stafford or read about Matthew Stafford, his injuries. He's out for the game, or he's fighting through an injury. He's playing through an injury, which it's tough. He's tough. He's a tough guy. But the best ability is availability, and you all know that. And Matthew Stafford, as I just said, he's played 10 of his 12 years, so he has been available. But he's just always injured. And now that I'm thinking about it, that was a bad take, so I take it back. Because he has played most of the games. And so he's been reliable, but he's only had a winning record 5 times in his career. So 5 out of his, well, I guess now he had a winning record this year, so six times now. Yeah, maybe it's counting. I think it was counting this year, because I think I wrote down as counting this year. So I'm gonna say 5, but it could be 6. It's not really that big of a difference, but I'm gonna say 5. He's only had 5 times in his career when he started winning record. So that's 6 for 12, or 5 for 12. You're looking at 50% or like 40 something. So that's 500 or less. So I mean, that's all right. That's Eli Manning, which Matthew Stafford is kind of looking like Eli Manning. Not kind of. I mean, it's 2 different quarterbacks, two different really styles of quarterback. But when you put up all these numbers, top 10 quarterback, top 10 quarterback, people say you're good. It's just the team around you. And like Eli Manning lost his first couple playoff appearances, and then obviously he went on the Super Bowl run as a wild card team and won Super Bowl. Obviously beat Tom Brady. What was their undefeated season? I think the first one was, and the second time again wild card team went to the Super Bowl, beat Tom Brady again. So I mean, Eli Manning, the only success Eli Manning has had in the playoffs was the 2 years he went to the Super Bowl and won it, which 2 for 2, that's really good. But I mean, that could be Matthew Stanford. He's lost his previous 3, went to the Super Bowl this year. Who knows if they're going to bring Aaron Donald back. I heard Aaron Donald said he wants to, he will come back if they bring back Von Miller and Odell, which Odell just tore his ACL. So I don't know if that's really what they're going to do. But because Aaron Donald said he also might retire. But he didn't say that, but there's rumors around that he might retire. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But he was never really in the MVP conversation, as like I said, as a top 5 quarterback. And I just feel like Matthews, as if he's like this year, don't get me wrong, he was good. Like the top 5 quarterbacks of 2022, Aaron Rodgers won because he won MVP. But statistically, he did not have the best. Aaron Rodgers did not have the best season statistically, nor did Matthew Stafford. It was Tom Brady had the best season statistically. But top 5 quarterback overall, in my opinion, like you're taking season success stats and team success, season success, that's the same thing. So yeah, just like overall success and like stats and like did you go to like how far did you go or not. Number 1, I have Aaron Rodgers, 4,115 yards, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And then the reason I have number 1 is because of the 4 interceptions, because his numbers are not the best on this list. Like passing yards is not the best on this list. Touchdowns, it's tied with second. But the reason I have number 1 is because the 4 interceptions. Everybody else on this list has over 10, and I'll tell you them in a minute. So Aaron Rodgers number 1 because of that, in my opinion. Number 2, Tom Brady with 5,316 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. And Tom Brady was Aaron Rodgers 1A, Tom Brady 1B. You really could have flipped him around if you wanted to. We can make a real good case for that. And Tom Brady, 43 and 12, I think I just said. Obviously retired after the end of this year. He lost in the playoffs against who did they lose to? The Rams? Yeah, they lost to the Rams. If I'm wrong, somebody will let me know, because I'm not looking at it right now. But yeah, because Tom Brady nor Aaron Rodgers they both lost in the divisional round. So I can't put Tom Brady. Tom Brady would have went to the conference championship. He would be number 1 on this list. But since they both made it the same round and both lost in the same round, Aaron Rodgers slightly above, but it could be either way. I could see it. Number 3, I do have Matthew Stafford, 4,886 yards, 41 touchdowns. He did throw 17 interceptions, the most on this list. Obviously, coming off the Super Bowl victory. That's why he cracks my top 5 at number 3, though, because he did take him to the Super Bowl. So you got to give him credit for that. He did have a phenomenal season, over 40 touchdowns, like I said. Nearly 20 interceptions, though, which he's a gunslinger. You all know that. The whole conversation going into the Super Bowl was Matthew Stafford going to make a dumb mistake and lose the Super Bowl for the Rams. He made a couple mistakes, threw a couple interceptions, but in the end, it didn't turn out to haunt them. They did end up winning, obviously. So everything's forgotten if you win. Number 4, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes always, I think until his career is over, he's going to always be in the top 5 quarterbacks every year, even if he doesn't win MVP. But his stats for 2022, 4,839 yards, 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes lost to Joe Burrow in the Bengals and the AFC Championship. Actually lost to them twice. I think the biggest turning point in that game, obviously the Bengals and Chiefs game, obviously, was when the Chiefs went for it on the goal line right before halftime when they should have kicked the field goal. I think that really gave the Bengals the momentum they needed to come out in the second half and beat the Chiefs in that game. It was overtime game too, which it was a really good game. I talked about it in my first video, so you guys can watch that. I'm not gonna go talking about it again. Justin Herbert, number 5, playing for Chargers, obviously. 5,014 yards, 38 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Yeah, I could have made a case, or you guys could have made a case for either, but Patrick Mahomes at 4, Justin Herbert at 5. You could flip those two around, really. I think Justin Herbert, he's going into his 3rd year now because he just finished his 2nd year, obviously. First year, rookie of the year, phenomenal. That's last year. Well, this season that I just finished, kind of let down. I had high hopes for the Chargers. Seems like every year they just get injured at like the wrong times. The wrong people get injured at the wrong time. No injury is good. Nobody getting injured is good. Say that. Yeah, so that's my top 5 quarterbacks. I think next year, then people would put Joe Burrow in top 5 quarterbacks. I don't have him there just yet. He had a good season. But we need to see him do it again. Everybody on this list has done it multiple times, including Justin Herbert, which this is his 2nd year. So the fact that he's done it multiple times in multiple years, multiple to be exact, 2, it's crazy to me. So moving on, the Washington investigation, the Washington Commanders now, but this investigation started when they were the Washington football team. So I don't know if that has anything, no, I'm just playing. But yeah, the Washington Commanders, the NFL has engaged Mary Jo White to conduct the league's investigation into the latest allegations against Daniel Snyder and the Commanders arising from the recent House Oversight Committee. Whatever that means. Oh, it's not, then that sentence was in order. Oversight Committee Roundtable, sources say. The findings of Mary Jo White will be made public. The last investigation, the findings weren't made public. People got really upset about that. So they're deciding to make it public. I mean, that's really simple. Roger Goodell will determine any further actions to be taken by the league, whatever that means. Because the NFL also, they also said they weren't going to look into the lawsuit between the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and what was his name? Richard. I'm going to butcher it. Richard Dalrymple. The alleged voyeurism, which I'm not sure what that is, but I should know because I'm talking about it. But from my context clues, that's what we're doing. We're going to use our context clues, and we're going to look up what it actually means and see how close I was. But they said they're not going to look into the They said they're not going to look into the lawsuit between the cheerleaders and that dude because they settled it themselves. Let me see. This was in 2016, I believe. Oh yeah. 2015. Wait. The settlement, it happened in 2015. The settlement was signed in 2016. So I don't know when in 2015. It could have been a year. We'll say a year, or give or take a little bit. Who knows? But they said they're not gonna look into it because they already settled it. And among one of the, how do you spell voyeurism? I can't keep talking while typing. This is messing me up. But yeah, They said one of the things that they found was he was standing behind one of their walls in the locker room while they were getting dressed and recording them. And he was also one of the also findings was from a fan. They're at the drafts. It was I think it was that same year in 2016 when they were at the draft. He's taking an upskirt picture of Charlotte Jones, who is Jerry Jones, the owner. Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Charlotte Jones is his daughter. He was taking a picture under her skirt. Supposedly, somebody said that. That's all the sources, so who knows if that's true, but that's weird. Yeah, he's the Richard dude, of course. It's never good when you're being like when someone is suing you for like that stuff. Your name is Richard, but people call people with the name Richard Dick, so it's not good. And your name is Dick, and this stuff is coming at you. That's not good. No pun intended. So yeah, of course he's going to try to defend himself by saying that he didn't know they were in the locker room when he went in there, but he didn't go in the locker room, according to them. And the cheerleader said he had a little VIP card that the only way to get into the locker room they were in, they said was a VIP card. And when they heard him like swiping his card or whatever, they're like basically saying like, hey, we're in here, don't come in here. And he kept trying to go in there. So, I mean, it's two sides to the story, obviously. And now I like heard both of them, so you can take it for what you want. I'm gonna say that dude's probably a weirdo. He's probably doing that, probably creep, because also that stuff was going on with the Washington football team at the time, but now the Washington Commanders. That stuff was going on with them, and they actually got fined. It was actually last year fined $10 million, and the reason was, in I quote, highly unprofessional workplace and bullying. But they were not basically doing the same thing, but sending emails back and forth, sending new pictures of the cheerleaders and emails to other owners. So this whole thing, all these owners, like, everybody's corrupt. They're all corrupt. And Dan Snyder, he was just the first one. And then I feel like I don't want to say anything that's not true, which I have been doing this show, maybe. But I think Roger Goodell is not going. I think Roger Goodell in the NFL is, if this is true, not going to look into the Cowboys organization, because they're already looking into the football team or the Commanders organization. So they already got a lot on their plate. I think eventually they will, and if they don't, that's crazy. Because how are you going to look into one team, not the other? And I just feel like that's fucked up. Someone should be responsible for that. Moving on, the Pittsburgh Steelers today hired Brian Flores, former coach for the Miami Dolphins, for the last, I want to say 3 years, but he coached back-to-back winning seasons. And it was kind of weird. He just got fired after coaching back-to-back winning seasons, and they went to, they didn't go to the playoffs, but yeah, they didn't go to the playoffs, but they had back-to-back winning seasons. And I read that, well, I did read it, but also the tanking allegations, Brian Flores came out and denied those. Well, let me finish reading. Steelers hired Brian Flores as their senior defensive assistant to their linebackers coach. So that's a whole lot of nothing. He's on the coaching staff, which is good, because he also has a lawsuit against the NFL for basically discrimination, saying that I want to hire him because of he's black. So it's really a class act by the Steelers, because the Steelers are the reason for the Rooney Rule, which is a good rule. And the fact that the NFL is far behind on it is sad, because I feel like it goes back to the owners. The owners are corrupt, and if the owners don't change the way that they think, then nothing in the NFL is going to be the same way. Well, like, I don't know, nothing's going to change, That's just my little rant. But we're not here to talk about that. So, like I was saying, Brian Flores on the coaching staff. This is good. I heard he's not going to drop the lawsuit, which I don't think he should, because as soon as he gets on the team, if he drops a lawsuit, the NFL will problem solved. It's over. So I think it's good of him. I think it's good for him and for his image to not drop the lawsuit, because also people will look at him like weak. But I think it's good. It's good all around for everybody. Feel like eventually, when Mike Tomlin does retire or step away because Big Ben tired, I don't know if Mike Tomlin wants to go through a rebuild again, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, because he's never had a losing season. He's not gonna want to go through a rebuild. He's already said that. I think I could be wrong about that, but yeah. So that's the NFL news for Sunday or Saturday. Today's Saturday. That's the NFL news. I just want to talk about this weekend is the All-Star game. Sunday, tomorrow. Maybe recording this video Saturday. I'm probably going to release it tomorrow. Sunday morning, probably. But yeah, I'm going to watch the All-Star game. Hopefully tomorrow I'll try to catch some of it. Obviously, the big story is LeBron going back to Cleveland. And in an interview, I didn't see the clip or anything. I think it was a clip. I didn't see it. I just read a little thing on Instagram. The reporter asked LeBron some question about coming back to Cleveland or whatever. He said the door's not closed on that, and his contract goes through the 2022-2023 season. So after this season, his contract is up. So that just lines up really convenient with what he said. And he said any team that wants him would have to draft his son, Bronny, which I also don't get, like, how everybody's just assuming he's going to get to the NBA. Like, he probably will. And he's way better than me. I'm not sitting here saying I can make it to the NBA just as good. Like, I'm not saying I'm a better player than him. He's better than me. I'm just saying, like, let the kid, like, play basketball. Like, you're just, like, I've seen a couple of his clips. He's looked good. I've seen a couple of his clips where he's dunked, but that's high school against people that I'm probably not as near as good as him or anything. And his team is really good. Isn't Sierra Canyon? Their team is good. So it's probably better than their team is probably better than a lot of the competition they play, because it's high schoolers, and a lot of them are not going to go to the next level like Bronny. So I don't know. I just think it's weird. Not weird. Like, I just think, I don't know. I'm starting not to like LeBron. He's an attention seeker. Makes him think about himself. I also think he acts fake. Like, he has fake emotions. But I ain't trying to hate on LeBron or nothing. Me and him are cool. He used to play for the Heat, so that's why he's cool. I'm a Heat fan. I like Dwayne Wade more. My favorite player of all time. LeBron always going to be cool with me. yeah, but that's all I got for today. So see you guys next week, or yeah, probably next week. Middle of next week, probably next week.